and welcome to another edition of Nook News. Today, I have with me Terry Courts from Old Colony Elder Services. Welcome, Terry. Nice to have you on the show today. I would like you to actually introduce yourself because you have more than one title, and let everybody know what you do.
Okay, thank you. I'm from Old Colony Elder Services, and I'm the Protective Service Director. I have several programs under me as the Protective Service Director, one of those being money management, housing, consumer advocate, or just to name a few.
Wow, you busy lady.
Yes.
So, for this edition of Nook News, we are going to talk about elder abuse.
Yes.
And I was looking up some statistics, and I found this, and it really blew my mind, that by the mid-21st century, we will have 80 million people in the United States over the age of 65.
Wow.
Locally, or more locally, 1 in 5 Americans will be considered senior, quote unquote,
Yes.
by 2030.
Yes.
2030 is
Not that far away.
very close.
Yeah.
Are we ready to handle all of this?
I think we're doing the best we can with trying to handle it.
I do too.
Yeah.
And in both our jobs, I think we do a lot of juggling with that, but we see them, we're first line to respond to them, and
Yes.
we're definitely going to get somewhere. So today, being that our show is about elder abuse, and there are 6 different kinds. There's physical, sexual, emotional, financial, caregiver neglect, and self-neglect.
Yes.
What I thought we would do is take each one and have you talk a little bit about what each one is, so people can be aware and understand what each form is.
Sure. So physical abuse is when it's an infliction of harming an elder. It could be bruises, it could be threats to harm, it could be that unexplained injuries show up and people don't know why, and the explanation doesn't seem to match what the injuries are. So those are going to be, could be handprints, could be object marks, it could be, like I said, threats to harm in terms of physical abuse. A lot of times you're going to have emotional abuse in conjunction with some other allegation, most times with physical or financial. Emotional abuse is when there's yelling and screaming, it could be name calling, it could be the response of the elder is isolation, it's depression. It could be that the elder is very fearful and upset as a result of the physical abuse or financial exploitation. That's just to name a few things in terms of emotional abuse.
Okay.
So financial exploitation is when money is taken without the permission or consent of the consumer. It's a lot of times, ATM withdrawals or charges on someone's credit card that it's not authorized, or the person is unable to give authorization for that. So you're going to have sometimes the threats of harm with the financial exploitation. If you don't give me your money, then I'm going to put you in a nursing home, or something like that is going to go hand in hand with financial exploitation. It could be the person shows up at the bank and they're arguing in the parking lot and telling the person to go in and withdraw money from their bank account. So that's financial. Caregiver neglect is when the elder's needs are not being met by a caregiver who could be identified as somebody that's voluntarily assisting somebody, a family member, somebody living with the elder that has taken on that responsibility to meet a daily need, whether it be food, shelter, housing, medications, medical conditions, to get them to treatment. And when it's not happening, it can be considered caretaker neglect. Usually you have an impact where an elder needs medical treatment and they're not getting it, or their personal care is poor, or they may have not getting their medications appropriately. So those are just some examples. It could also be an elder that needs more supervision and they are wandering, and that's a high risk case.
High risk, right.
In terms of those concerns. So when you have self-neglect, you have an elder that most times doesn't have a caretaker, but an elder that may not be taking care of themselves. So the same situation in terms of their daily needs are not being met, whether it's food, shelter, housing, supervision, and they need more assistance, and there's an impact or potential risk for an impact for them to not get their needs met. The other one you mentioned was sexual abuse, which is the most underreported in elder abuse. It's less than 1% we get reports, and it's not that we don't think it's happening. We think that people are not identifying it and it's not being reported. So sexual abuse does happen amongst elders. It is a form of elder abuse, and the majority of those types of reports could be showing an elder some pornographic material or unwanted touching, or it could escalate to serious physical harm for an elder. Those are some of the things that are reportable.
Statistically, self-neglect is one of the higher.
Yes.
So
50% of our cases are self-neglect.
Are seniors not taking care of themselves, or is there just too much going on?
Both. A lot of the risk factors that I mentioned for some of the other allegations in terms of physical, emotional, financial exist for our elders under self-neglect as well. So the risk factors that make an elder vulnerable to elder abuse in general is isolation, depression, substance abuse, whether it be the caretaker or the elder. It could range from an elder that is lonely and they don't have people checking in on them, or they don't have family supports or relationships. So those are some of the risk factors that take place in general with elder abuse. So the same applies for self-neglect.
Well, that's a good segue for us. So every town has a council on aging,
Yes.
or in our case, in Plymouth, it's the Center for Active Living, and we could actually help with some of that. So some of self-neglect is isolation, and what better way to turn around that isolation part than to come and participate through Old Colony Elder Services. What other programs might exist for someone to get some help with?
There's a lot of programs that are run through a lot of the local senior centers, the healthy living programs, there's family caregiver support programs, there's buried in treasures programs in terms of hoarding issues. There's extended community programs for services to keep people in the home as long and as safely as possible, because that's the motto, to keep people in their homes and provide the support and education to them as well as their caregivers to be able to stay in the home. And as you mentioned, a lot of the programs and a lot of the local centers that have the availability to build a relationship with an elder and check in with them, that's part of this prevention that would be helpful, because you guys and the people who have those ongoing relationships with the elders in the community are the ones that are going to be able to identify when something is not right, whether it's their poor personal care or a change in their behavior. If they are mentioning that somebody has now shown up from a distant relative that has now moved in with them, or in managing their finances, you guys are going to be the ones to help identify those red flags, to help with either getting a report to us so that we can look into it, or identifying that it is a reportable condition to reach out and try and help.
So since we're on that train of thought, can you report anonymously, or is everything reported and they know who it was that called in?
Depends on what your role is with the person. If you're a mandated reporter, you're required to file a report as a mandated reporter. Mandated reporters are social workers, nurses, doctors, EMTs, physicians, home health aid agencies, council on aging directors. Those are all considered to be mandated reporters.
Okay.
Family members, friends, neighbors can all file reports, anonymously, and say, I'm calling in because I'm concerned about Mrs. Smith and I want to remain anonymous. I just want somebody to look into this. This is her phone number, her address, these are the concerns. Anybody can file a report.
Okay.
When those reports are filed, the reporter's name is kept in confidence.
Okay.
We cannot reveal that information. The only
Okay.
person that is entitled to that information is the district attorney.
Okay.
And those are the cases that are serious abuse, neglect, financial exploitation, or sexual abuse that get to that level of getting to the district attorney's office if we substantiate the investigation.
So, another great segue. So, the way that we report cases now is through the phone number
Yes.
for elder abuse. And that phone number is 1-800-922-2275.
Yes.
So what happens to have a case substantiated or maybe, I don't want to say passed over, but not every case is substantiated.
Yes.
Can you explain to us what it
Sure.
means to be substantiated?
Sure. Let me start by saying that the intakes are called into the centralized intake unit, which is for the whole state of Massachusetts. All Massachusetts, that's the one number. They take all of the intakes all of the time.
Okay.
And it gets divided up to the local agencies depending on the geographic location of the elder.
Okay.
So those intakes are received and we look at them and we determine, do they rise to the level of what we call a reportable condition.
Okay.
If it meets a reportable condition, then those intakes will be screened in. If they're screened in, they're given a certain level of screening for us to respond to them.
Okay.
We have 30 days to complete an investigation, which means looking into the concerns, reaching out to the elder, explaining the report, seeing what is going on, beginning our investigation process, talking to people who may know what's going on,
Okay.
and then making a determination.
Okay.
For the determination of the investigation, it's either going to be substantiated or unsubstantiated.
Okay.
Once it's substantiated, it's a development of a service plan with the elder to determine what can we put in to help.
Okay.
What kind of services can we help to try and alleviate this situation? With their permission in terms of what services are they willing to accept.
Okay.
There's a lot of times, consumers, we present the best options, we present what options,
What options are there?
exactly, and some accept and some don't. They may say,
Okay.
yes, I want to accept A, but I don't want to accept B.
Okay.
They're entitled to that, empowerment in terms of what services they're going to accept
Okay.
with their specific situation. So once the service plan is developed, we say, okay, let's put the services in, let's see what we can do.
Okay.
And then it's really short-term crisis intervention that we get
Okay.
in there, we see what we can do, 3 to 6 months. That doesn't mean we don't get re-involved if a new incident takes place or if the situation escalates. So the message, which I know you're going to say today as well, is if you are concerned about something, file. If you're still concerned about something, refile. We want to be able to assist in those situations, and we can't do it if we don't have a report.
I feel like 30 days is a long time. So are there certain cases that might urge you to
Yes.
move that along a little quicker?
Yes.
Okay.
30 days is the maximum.
Okay.
So that doesn't mean that if the case, takes place and we have all of our information and we can substantiate a case sooner than that, certainly we can. In certain situations, like you mentioned, that are high risk, we have done that sooner than the 30 days.
All right.
Because you have enough information, you have to move on a situation, it's risky, you want to put the services in. We don't have to wait the 30 days.
Okay.
We
All
can
right.
make those decisions quicker. If we need more time because, maybe financial documents aren't coming to us as quickly as we need them to, we can actually extend a case.
Okay.
So that's the maximum. That doesn't mean that we can't do something sooner.
Average. Cases substantiated, cases not substantiated?
I don't remember the last statistic on that. I want to say that maybe it was like a 60-40 across
Okay.
the state
Okay.
in terms of what was substantiated and what wasn't.
Okay.
That was probably the last one that I looked at that, and it might have been 2 years ago.
Okay.
In terms of the statistics. They may be higher now since the last time I looked. The cases are higher in terms of the caseloads.
So
the
you are
numbers.
you're seeing more people calling in. Are they more high risk, or it's
It seems like it. It seems like there's a lot of intakes that are filed Our numbers are increasing across the state. They are increasing. I think the difference that we saw in the World Elder Abuse Awareness Day numbers was 30,000 last year, 34,000 this year, in terms of the amount of cases across the state. Why is it happening? I think the same, psychosocial issues that are taking place in our communities are affecting our consumers. I think it's the mental health concerns, and I think it's the substance abuse issues, and they're impacting our elders themselves as well as the caregivers.
You segued into the World Elder Abuse Day walk, which is perfect. We want to talk about that, and you said it was 30,000 last year overall, and it's 34,000 in our state. But we're also seeing the number of seniors go up.
Yes.
So really, yes, there was an increase, and yes, 4,000 is a very large number. But when you're looking at how many seniors are becoming seniors every day in these communities, maybe it is going up, but maybe we're also educating people more, and they're knowing enough to call in, same as see something, say something.
Yes.
We see and hear that saying a lot now, but we're reaching people.
Yes.
So the next thing is we are doing our annual World Elder Abuse Day Awareness March in Plymouth.
Yes.
As we do every year, the third Thursday of June, which will be June 20th this year. And we will take buses from the Center for Active Living down to the waterfront. We will then walk the waterfront, come back, get back on the buses, come back to the center, do some presentations, have some lunch and some dessert.
Yes.
So we really, really want people to come and walk with us, don't we?
Yes.
We don't want to be out there, just you and me holding a sign. We want there to be 50, 60, 100 people behind us.
Yes.
Making people aware of what is going on. So we want all these people that are sitting at home right now watching us to come out on June 20th and walk with us. You can register, you can show up that day just to the center at 44 Nook Road. We will get you to the waterfront. It's very, very important.
It is. It's free, and it's a way to help us build awareness, and recognize that this issue takes place, and it gives people a voice, which is important.
This year we talked about doing something different that we have never done, but we're going to try it, is to actually have information about elder abuse, so that when visitors from other places stop us and say, what are you marching for? We're going to say, this is it. And it's okay if it doesn't pertain to you, but it might pertain to someone you know.
Exactly.
So don't throw it on the ground. Give it to someone, even if you keep it, or share it with someone else. We all know older people, and if we're not aware for them,
Right.
we need to look out for them.
Yep.
Sometimes they just can't look out for themselves.
I know. They
You know,
need help. They need help, and they
They
need
do.
somebody to make the call to help identify that this is not okay.
And it's clearly, it's not okay. And now we're standing up and saying, no, it's also not going to be tolerated.
Right.
It never has. But now I think the voice is a lot louder. We're making people more aware. Do the police often get involved?
It depends. I mean, sometimes there's situations where there's domestic violence, or there's some type of physical abuse case where someone calls 911. The police can get involved in that way, but not always. I mean, sometimes they don't call, and then the police are not aware, and someone else calls. And that's why it's important that if everybody has a piece of the puzzle, that they each all call in their own report, because sometimes people think, oh, well, the police must have gotten called on that case, so they're going to report it. Well, not necessarily, and then we don't get any report. And again, we can't respond without one. So it's vital that if you have a piece of the puzzle, that you help us put those pieces together to build, the story. And that helps us get out there and start the conversation, with the elder to say what's going on, and we're here to help you. What can we do?
Maybe we do need to talk a little bit about social isolation, and that people don't need to be alone, but they may feel alone, but they don't necessarily need to be alone. And I think we need to remind people that, now that we're in nice weather, you have an opportunity to get
Yeah.
out. You don't have to go far.
Right.
And the centers, councils on aging, senior centers, whatever it's called, and wherever you live, offer so many different things.
They do.
So, do we have any words of advice or encouragement that we can get some people out? And then, if it's happening to a senior, they can report it
Yes.
too.
Yes. They can report. They can self-report and explain the situation and give the details. They can call the 1-800 number.
And their family doesn't ever have to know that they made that call.
Correct.
Unfortunately, sometimes families can be very abusive.
Yes.
Maybe not physically, but emotionally or financially. And, as a senior, they're already on limited funds.
Yes.
And, there are protections in place. Is there another way to encourage people to?
I mean, encouraging them for different reasons. I mean, the senior centers offer so much. We've heard over time that, well, that's for old people. Well, you may fit this criteria as an older adult, but that doesn't mean that you're old. It's just a geographic, statistic. So don't let that deter you from being a part of something that could help your overall health and wellness. And you could get to know people, and you have information that other people might benefit from. Our seniors, they have so many stories and so many things to share. And why wouldn't you want somebody to benefit from all of your life experience, in terms of going to the center? So that's one piece of advice. In terms of seniors and you're calling in information about themselves, every senior deserves to be, happy and safe in their own home. And they don't deserve to be abused. And if something is going on, say something to somebody. If you're not comfortable calling in, then if you have a provider that comes in, say something. If you have a neighbor or a family member that you do trust, you can certainly reach out to them. It's hard making that first step, but you have the right to be in your home and be safe and not suffer from elder abuse.
And they're going to be supported. Even though every case may not be substantiated, maybe there's a way that you can help them in some other way, and that opportunity will open the door for them to possibly get or receive some other services that will help them as well as other people.
Definitely. I mean, often we may not have we may have a case that we decide whether it maybe doesn't rise to the level of a reportable condition yet, but that might mean that we're saying, okay, we're going to make a referral to a different part of the agency to see if there are services that this person could benefit from. And the same goes for an unsubstantiated case. That doesn't mean we wouldn't offer suggestions, referrals or assistance. It might mean that we just don't sub the case.
So when you get services through Old Colony Elder Services, does that mean you get a caseworker and someone to check in on you, even if it's like quarterly, just to know someone's there?
Yes. There's a lot of programs that Old Colony offers, state home care programs, money management, like I said, family caregiver support program, home delivered meals. All of those programs are connected to an ongoing care manager that assists. And the variety of how often that takes place, it depends on the program. But yes, they assist in terms of services, checking in, home visits, those kind of things. And that's good. Because again, the people that have the services and the connections with the consumer, that's what's going to help in identifying if there's something going on.
If there's something going on. Okay. So, we're, once again, we are going to be marching down at the waterfront on June 20th. You can register by calling the Center for Active Living, or you can just show up on that date. I feel like I want to just keep playing a reel so people know to come out and see us walking.
Yes.
the intake is being done. So you're only talking to someone on the phone, and they're giving you all of this information. Do you then call the senior, or do you have to sort of skirt around the issue and do things, I don't want to say behind their back,
No.
but I don't think that's, I don't even
No.
feel like that's the right way to do it.
What ends up happening once an intake is filed, if it's screened in and assigned to a caseworker to do an investigation or assessment, is the worker's going out to meet the elder in person.
Okay.
Sometimes it depends on if it's, Friday at 4:45 and we want to do a quick call before the weekend to make sure the person's okay, then that might be a phone call and then a follow-up visit after that. But the majority of the first contacts that we have with the elders is an unannounced home visit.
Okay.
And that's by, our regulations, we have to go out and see the person and let them know about the report and see if they want to participate in the assessment process.
So the unannounced home visit wouldn't normally come before the phone call? Or,
Correct.
okay.
Correct.
All
It
right.
depends on the safety concerns for the consumer as well as, the worker.
The worker.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
So we're just about out of time, but we are going to mention again, I'm going to let you do the pitch this time.
Okay.
So,
Our World Elder Abuse Awareness Day event at the center is June 20th. We ask that people come out and march with us. We do want to have people RSVP if possible because we want to get a count for the food, for the pizza and cake. It's a great event. It's a good showing of support for our elders in the community, and we have a lot of elders that actually join us and professionals, and it's a great event, so we hope that people will come join us.
yes. So our elders are very supported in this community, both by the Center for Active Living, Old Colony Elder Service, and so many other businesses. So please come out Thursday, June 20th, come to the Center for Active Living, call us and register, let us know you're coming. We want to feed you after you walk. And if you see something, say something.
Absolutely.
Don't let something go unnoticed that shouldn't. You might be the only one that sees it.
Exactly.
Well, thank you, Terry. I really appreciate it, and I hope we'll see you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.